Did you know that Muck Boots all started with a universal problem, muck? And did you know that it's their 25th anniversary this year? Neither did I. But I do know that when you buy boots that don't last, it's really frustrating to have to replace them every couple of months. So check out Muck Boots. The link is in the show notes. The very first thing that got hung in my beautiful kitchen when we moved in here 4.5 years ago was a calendars.com Lang calendar because I needed something familiar in my new house. My mom loves them. We love them. Go check them out. The link is in the show notes. You're listening to A Tiny Homestead, the podcast comprised entirely of conversations with homesteaders, cottage food producers, and crafters, and topics adjacent. I'm your host, Mary Lewis. A Tiny Homestead podcast is sponsored by Homegrown Collective, a free-to-use farm-to-table platform, emphasizing local connections with ability to sell online. Buy, sell, trade in local garden groups, and help us grow a new food system. You can find them at homegrowncollective.org. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a comment. Thank you. Today I'm talking with Sophia at Still Farms VA, which I assume stands for Virginia. Is that right, Sophia?
That's right.
All right, where are you in Virginia?
I am in Wakefield, Virginia. It's this itty bitty town right between Richmond and Norfolk, Virginia Beach area.
Okay, awesome. I can find you on a map now. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
How's the weather there?
Beautiful, sunny, 80s, lovely. I'm so happy.
Oh my God. It is gray and it's actually muggy here. I think it's 69 degrees in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, no, we are finally with the sun out and my seasonal depression has lifted and it is lovely.
It is spring and you, I assume, grow things. So you have to be beside yourself.
I do. I try to grow things more than I actually grow things. But yeah, we are very happy to have the sun out again.
All right. Well, tell me about yourself and what you guys do at Still Farms, Virginia.
Sure. So I am very new to homesteading, farming, agriculture, any of this sort of life. I grew up in Boston. I was actually a makeup artist for most of my life. I wore red bottom shoes, and that's all that mattered to me. And then COVID happened, and I was bored, and I tried to think of a hobby. And I went to Home Depot, and I bought some tomato plants and killed them. And I bought one bean plant and realized that I couldn't feed my family off of one bean plant and became addicted. So we started doing a small garden when I was living in Norfolk at the time. We started doing a small garden, and year after year, I really started to just love the connection to the earth, connection to my food, learning how broken our food system is, trying to make small changes in my life that I can feel really good about, inspiring the people around me. Then about a year and a half ago, my husband and I decided to take the plunge. We sold our business and we bought 11 acres here and have slowly been trying to grow food and become the people, do the things that the people we want to be do. So we've got some chickens, we just got some dairy goats, we've got some livestock dogs, and we're building high tunnels and greenhouses and really trying to do the thing.
That sounds very familiar, except we have 3 acres, not 11. And my husband and son just, I hesitate to say the word finished our high tunnel because the door needs to be hung.
Okay.
But other than the door being hung correctly, because the hinges that we had were too flimsy and they bent.
Oh,
so as soon as he gets the correct hinges, it will be finished this weekend.
Well, you're a little more ahead than me. I've still got to put the whole top on. So we're waiting for a not windy day to be able to tackle that project. We get horrible wind here.
I understand they had to wait 2 weeks to get the plastic on because every time they were ready to go out and do it, the wind was picking up.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hesitated to say the word finished because God only knows if it's actually finished. He might have another idea for it.
That's what I'm learning. Things are never finished. They're just, you hit one stepping stone and then you get to the next one.
Yes, and you're not alone, Sophia. Does that make you feel better?
It does. It makes me feel so much better.
Good. It's so funny because, I've been talking to people for over a year and a half in the homesteading realm, and the song or the tune is the same, but the words are different.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody's doing the same things, but they're definitely humming the same tune.
Sure. We're all feeling each other's pain.
And joy.
And joy. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to make sure this sounds like fun because we want
It,
people to be interested in it.
it's fun and it is so rewarding. And it's honestly the best thing that I do every day that I question it every day, but it is the best thing I've done every day.
Oh, we've had moments of saying I'm questioning my life choices.
Sure.
Yep. Every week, I think it's said at least 3 times.
I look in the mirror and it's almost like 5 years ago, Sophia would not recognize who I am today. And I'm so grateful for that, but also it's shocking. Like just before you called, my cat dropped a skink at my feet. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you for that gift. Where, years ago I would have cried and screamed running away. So it's definitely been such a transforming thing in my life, which has just been really wonderful.
I am so glad. And your story about what was it? A sphinx? A
A
spink?
skink, a skink. So it's like a little
Skink.
lizard. Yeah. Hmm.
Yep. Okay. I said it wrong.
Hmm.
That reminds me of the saying that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Hmm.
Um, 20 years ago, that was funny. Now it's true.
Yes. Yes,
Hmm.
for sure.
Yep. My husband and my son have both managed to injure themselves here, and it hasn't killed them. So it has made them stronger.
Well, thank goodness for that blessing.
Uh-huh, absolutely. They come in the house and I say, "Is everything good?" every time they come in the house.
That's right.
Because,
How many fingers do
the
we
one
all
time,
have?
yeah, the one time I don't ask, I'm gonna hear, "I need a bandage," or "I need you to call 911," or so.
Right.
So I'm always asking and checking in with them because I'm like, you guys are doing the hard work out there. Did anybody get hurt? So, so you said you have chickens and you have goats,
Hmm.
right?
I
Okay.
sure do. Hmm.
How many chickens do you have?
Sure. So when we bought the property, it came with 21 hens. Um, we lost a few, and then last spring I introduced another 14. So I think we're at 32 right now, including two roosters. And then for goats, I had got two mama goats last March, I believe it was March of 24. And then we just had babies in January, and I retained five of them. So we're up to seven goats now.
Nice.
Hmm.
Very nice. Do you have babies now this spring?
They were just born this past January, so they're about 4 months old now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hmm.
I see.
Yep.
Cool. And how did that go? Was that a new experience for you?
Totally new experience. I was really lucky. I found myself along the way just these incredible blessings where things just fall into place amazingly, and I'm so grateful for that. And I was posting online in one of the homesteading groups, and I had just mentioned that I was looking for some opinions on which breed of goat, and if anyone had any ideas for beginners, because I like to overthink and overthink and overthink before I jump into things. And someone had commented mentioning how they breed goats and that, one of the things to look for in a breeder is to make sure there's somebody that wants to mentor and really be a part of helping you be the best goat owner you can be. And it turns out she was only an hour from me. Um, so I went and I visited her, and um, she's absolutely amazing. She's from Rockville Ridge Farms, if anyone's interested. Her name's Tara, and she's such a wealth of knowledge. And she answers my questions at 2 a.m. when I'm like, why is my goat making this sound? And really, she's great. But so I went out there a few times, and I actually got two of her. We were discussing if I was going to get babies or adults. So I got one of her does that had been milked before and had done the whole mom thing, and then one that was a yearling. So that'll be her first time kidding. And I had them about a year. We got them pregnant in August, and then they kidded in January. And we almost lost one of the babies. My very good friend was here with me, and she's living the farm life with me. She's still in Norfolk in the city, but she's here every weekend. She's mucking the stalls with me. She's raising these babies, and she actually brought that baby back to life. He was born less than 2 pounds. He was itty bitty, so cold. It was the coldest night in January. and now his name's Francis, and now he's everybody's favorite. He goes to school. She was a kindergarten teacher. She'd bring him to school to bottle feed him, and all the kids were taking care of him. And it was just such an amazing thing. So now Francis is famous, and he's everyone's favorite.
Less than 2 pounds. Oh
Oh
my
my God, itty
God.
bitty. Yeah.
He must have been about the size of your hand.
He was like a brand new kitten.
Yeah.
He was so small.
Wow. You are really lucky that he survived. That's
We
amazing.
we really are, and he is definitely just such a joy, and he's so sweet. And I'm looking at him right now eating dandelions and letting the puff go out in the air. He's just such
Do
a
you
good boy.
know do you know how much he weighs now?
I don't. I would estimate probably maybe 20 pounds, give or take. I'm really bad at estimating, so that may be way off, but I think about 20 pounds.
Do you think he'll always be small?
I definitely think he'll be smaller when I look at him compared to the other babies in that kidding. Um, his mom had four, so he was the littlest of the four. And he still is. He's still much smaller than his siblings. The other mama only had two, and her babies are almost the size of her now. They're enormous.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on saving the very runt of the
Yes,
the
thank you.
litter.
Litter,
What?
yeah, kidding, litter. I'm not sure. I'm not good with terminology. I just say the words that sound right at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know what a group of baby goats is called. I have no idea. I know
Yeah,
cats and dogs, but
yeah.
beyond that, I don't know.
Well, we can go with litter. I'll go with that.
Yeah, and did you know actually that it's not a litter of kittens, it's a kindle of kittens?
I did not know that, but that sounds adorable.
Isn't that cute? Yeah, I
That
learned
is
that
cute.
like a couple years ago. Um, but it is a litter of puppies for sure. So,
Okay. Well, good. Then we're good on that.
uh-huh, I love Kindle of Kittens. It's so perfect. Um, the one thing that I haven't brought up yet on the podcast with anybody about research and stuff is that it's really great to have all this stuff available to us online to
Mhm.
research and study, but it's also really good to have real books in your home.
100%.
Um, we have probably 6 or 7 books on farming, homesteading, gardening. And that way, if God forbid the internet goes out like it did here yesterday all day, we still have our books if we need to refresh our memory on how to do something.
I 100% agree. I print out every recipe I can think of. I've got binders for any medical information I need, how to, which mushrooms are edible. And, I think you're absolutely right. Having those tangible items, God forbid if anything happens that you're able to access is so important.
Yeah, and actually learning the skills and practicing them for real is really important too, because
Absolutely.
you can watch somebody on a YouTube video whittle the most adorable gnome out of a piece of wood. That doesn't mean you can do it.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. Do as much as you can um with whatever you can. Even if you're living in an apartment building, there's no reason you can't grow a tomato plant. There's no reason you can't can that tomato and make some sauce. Learn to bake bread, grow, from seed. There's no reason you can't do the what you can do in the place that you're at. I 100% agree.
Yes, just do it to scale.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And I love that you said that because part of the reason I started the podcast is because I wanted people to know that you can do this stuff, whether you live in a, I don't know, 100 square foot tiny home on in somebody's backyard, or if you live on 250 acres. It doesn't really
Absolutely.
matter. You could just, can't talk. You just have to do it to the size that you're at.
The size that you're at, and also building that community. Also, everyone doesn't have to be great at everything, and building actual tangible resources with people that are like-minded and have the same similar goals and have understanding of your area or your culture or whatever it is. It's so important to have those people because this is a hard life, and things do get tricky. And when you've got a chicken that's dying in your arms, or if you're trying to deliver this goat baby and you don't know what you're doing, it's so important to be able to really reach out to somebody that's a real person and not a YouTube video that isn't able to interact with you.
Right, because the YouTube channel can't hug you when you're crying.
Sure.
And that's really important too, because if that baby goat had died, you would have been crying.
I was crying when he was living. We were crying no
Yes.
matter what. We were crying from the sun up to sundown that night. It was a night filled with tears, and it was stop and go for a while. You know, touch and go for a while. We were um, worried about it, but luckily we had Tara. We were Skyping with her. I think it was about 2 a.m.
Mhm.
And she was walking us through all the different options, what to look out for, what to know when it's what's viable, what needs more, you know, attention to address, and it's so amazing to have those sort of mentors and people that have been there and done that in your life.
I agree. And I've tried to be a mentor to people when they ask me things about what we're doing here.
Mhm.
And and some of them appreciate it, and some of them their eyes glaze over and they go, "Oh, okay."
I get a lot of that too. A lot of my family gets the glazed over eyes when I talk, and just, oh, that is lovely. I'm so glad that that excites you so much. I am excited, type of thing.
Yeah, it's actually really amusing to me. My parents own 14 acres in Maine,
Okay.
and they have chickens and they have a backyard garden. They're in their well, my mom is 78, my dad is 81,
Hmm.
and my dad is talking about not doing a garden this year for the first time in forever. And my mom is really hoping that he changes his mind. And I'm like, give the dude a break. He's getting older.
Right.
But but when we bought our place, they were thrilled for us that we were getting off the tenth of an acre lot in town and moving to the 3 acre lot out in the cornfields. They were thrilled for us. And then we started talking about our plans for it and all the things we were going to do. And I swear I could hear their eyes glazing over the phone
Yeah, yeah,
because that's not what they're doing with their place. Their place is just their home. It just happens to be 14 acres.
right.
So even your parents will get like, duh about what you're telling them if you tell them too much.
Of course. I mean, I think anyone, I think it's that way with any sort of passionate thing. My niece is a ballerina, and as much as I love hearing her talk, there's times that she's saying words that I'm just like, I don't know what any of this means or how this relates to anything.
Mhm.
And I think that that's just kind of the nature of conversation. But yeah, I mean, most of the people in my life are pretty good sports. Although there are some people that are like, I just don't need to hear about how, grass-fed beef is so much better for the world. And I'm like, no, you do need to hear it. It's important. We all need to
It's
know
important.
it.
Yes, it's very important.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, there is a video out right now. I have not had a chance to look at it with somebody and Joel Salatin talking about how cows aren't bad for the earth. And
Hmm.
and they're not wrong. Cows aren't bad for the earth. It's okay. Really. It's fine.
Right.
Um, but I'm really curious to see what that's going to be. I have to sit down and watch it tomorrow. I did not have time today, but I'm so curious to see what they have to say about this.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I don't even know how to ask the question. Do you have plans for your little piece of heaven?
I do. So my main goal was I really wanted to farm and grow food in a regenerative way. I can never say that word right. Um, I really wanted to make sure that my husband and I, we don't have children. So my contribution to this world, that my legacy that I'm leaving behind, is that the land that I'm on is going to be better when I'm gone than it was when I got here.
Uh-huh.
Um, so where I am, I'm in a very, conventionally farmed, spray pesticides, and actually they just sprayed the fields next to my house 2 days ago, and so all the beautiful hay that was growing and looked nice and lush and green, everything's dead now. Um, and so there's been a lot of spray, there's been a lot of chemicals here, and I really wanted to do what I can to build the land back and grow food and support my family and do it in a way that the earth is better off for doing it this way. So we started with the chickens and really starting to get them in place, and we've got the goats, and goat manure is just super good for gardens and everything. And then our goal is probably 2 years from now, because I like to overestimate so then I can surprise myself if we get done earlier.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to get some beef cows. That's my long term goal, is to get a couple beef cows, maybe raise one or two calves a year. for meat, and use the rest of them to rotationally graze and build the pasture back up.
Nice. That's a wonderful plan. Um, are you thinking like full size cows, or are you thinking mini cows?
That I have to see. We seeded our pasture. We've only got about maybe 7.5 acres that would be available to the cow. So depending on what we can get on pasture, how good we can get the grass, because I would like them to be grass fed as much as possible and only supplement hay in the real cold season. Um, so because of that, I've just got to kind of see what our land would be able to support. I don't want to put too many animals on it where it just has the opposite effect of what I'm looking for. So there's a scientific balance that I don't fully understand. So I've got to read a few more books and talk to a few more people and get things in place before I really know. But I would love a full size. That's just what's in my mind, but I don't know yet what that would be.
Okay. Cool. I know that you can have, I think it's two mini cows, might be three mini cows per
Hmm.
acre, but
Okay.
the bigger ones, the bigger cows are a little bit more, need a little
Right.
bit more room. So,
Yeah, we've got a pretty long growing season, so we do get grass most of the year. Um, our pasture is really trying to get any grass. We can grow it, I should say, as a caveat. We should be able to grow it, but to grow it organically without spraying has proven to be a little difficult without tilling and all that. So depending on what we can get going and when will depend on what we'll be able to support, off the pasture.
uh-huh. Okay. And I'm looking at your Instagram page right now, and you have the most beautiful cat, or you did, the white
Oh,
one with the gold and black.
Oh yeah. So she's a story. A friend of our so so it's a long story. So we when we first moved here, I'm not a cat person. I am a dog person. When we first moved here, we got two puppies. I got my Great Pyrenees Gus and a Great Pyrenees German Shepherd mix Sam. And one day I was in the yard and Gus jumped the fence, which was completely unlike him. He's a good boy and he stays in the yard. And sorry, we've got helicopters overhead.
Yep.
And he jumped the fence and found a clutch, or no, what was Kindle?
Kindle.
A Kindle of three baby kittens. Um, so he nursed them. They ended up being his babies. He was raising them as his own. He loved them every day. They'd come out and see him in the yard, and he'd play with them. Sam adopted one of them. Gus adopted the other. Um, we ended up getting a home for one. We kept a boy and a girl. We got the boy neutered, I don't know, a few months ago. He came back, and then we had scheduled the female to get spayed about a month ago, and it was at one of the mobile clinics. Long story short, she got out of the cage. She got lost. We caught her. We brought her back, but then she got scared and ran away. And I
Uh,
was devastated. So that cat is my husband's friend, knew that story, heard that story, and said, "Well, I've got a cat for you," and brought us her. He brought us their cat, which was an indoor cat, which of course wouldn't work out because we needed an outdoor barn cat. So we found her a lovely home. She's not with us anymore. Her name's Pepper, and she's with a lovely family with a little boy and two other cats, and she's very happy. But we had her for about a week.
oh, okay. Well, she's really pretty. I
She's
love
very
cats.
pretty. Yeah, yeah.
I love cats. We have two right now that are barn cats.
Okay.
And we have two at my friend's house that were just born on Easter Day, I think.
Oh, brand new. Okay.
And she's gonna, she doesn't know whether they're boys or girls yet because they're tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And so once she knows, she's gonna bring us a male and a female when they're 8 weeks old because we need more barn cats because we have voles, VOLESs
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
here, and we have mice, and we have a big old pole barn, and the two cats are barely keeping up with the mice.
Oh, yeah, we shortage of feral cats is not an issue that I experience here. We've got it seems like every other day I'm like, who are you now at my yard? Just
Oh,
another cat.
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah, we've got a lot in the area. As we're saying this, the one kitten that is still here, Nacho, he's rubbing up on me, and he's just the world's best cat. And even my husband, who's severely allergic and never liked cats, is obsessed with him, and he follows us around to do chores. And He's a good boy. He's the one that dropped the skink at my foot to
Oh,
save it.
nice. Very
Yeah,
good job,
yeah,
kitty
yeah,
cat. Yeah, it'll be fun to have kittens on the farm again because we
yeah.
had 3 litters of kittens over a year and a half from our mama cat, and then she flaked off. We don't know if she got taken by a coyote or if she got hit by a car,
Oh,
but her kittens were luckily 8 weeks old when she disappeared.
she just
So
had enough and said, I'm done."
I actually said that to my husband. I was like, I wonder if she was just finished. 3 litters was enough. She's on to her next adventure.
Yeah, yeah. She's retiring.
Hmm. But she was so pretty. She was a calico and she was friendly and she was the longest haired cat I've ever seen. She was
Oh my
gorgeous.
goodness. Oh, nice.
So we kind of miss her. So having a new couple of kittens on the farm for the
Mm-hmm.
year will be nice because
Nice.
our dog actually loves the kittens.
Yeah.
And she's been kind of looking at the pole barn like, why are no kittens coming out of the pole barn? It's April.
Oh. Sweet.
So, yeah, we'll have new kittens, I think, in about 7.5 weeks at this point.
Spring
So,
kittens are always fun.
yeah, and I had asked my husband, he was saying we needed more barn cats. And I said, well, do you want 2 more males? And he said, no. He said, I actually want an unfixed female. And I said, why? He said, because we can find homes for the kittens. But if we have to buy cats to be barn cats, that's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, get the cats working for you.
Yeah, I was like, are you sure? He's like, yep. I said, you know that every time the mama cat has babies, I spend 8 weeks worrying about them, right? And he's like, yes. And it always works out. I'm like, okay, fine. Fine, we can do that. So, how happy are you that you had chickens when all this craziness started with the cost of eggs?
It's one of those things that I'm swimming in eggs. And when we first moved here, I was so psyched because I was getting, a dozen and a half a day. Now I'm getting 2 dozen a day. My husband doesn't eat eggs. My
Uh,
dogs are now allergic to eggs. So I am swimming in eggs. I can't sell them and give them away fast enough, it seems. I eat quiche every day, and we're just doing everything we can, trying to make pasta and doing everything we can to go through these eggs because I'm the only one in the house that seems to. The cats can get an egg. The chickens get eggs. I feed them back to the chickens a lot.
oh, yeah. Yep.
Um, but yeah, so we've just been absolutely swimming. And a few of my friends, this is the first year that I've had people hatch out any of my eggs. So I think we've had 5 clutches that have hatched so far. So that's been exciting to see. I'm like, I'm a grandma now.
Yup, exactly. Um, you said you're fairly new to this. So, did you know that you can actually crack the eggs into the bigger size ice cube trays and freeze them, and they're perfectly fine for baking with?
I have done that and I've tried that, but I have so many fresh that I end up never even using them. So I find that if I just feed them back to the chickens, I just use less feed that day.
Okay.
I've tried storing them a few times and then they just sit in the freezer because then I just use whatever's fresh. So
True. Yeah.
yeah, it was a
Yep. I
bummer when I realized my dogs couldn't eat it because I'm like, come on, guys, they eat so much that an egg or two a day was a nice dip in the grocery bill, but not anymore.
Yep. This is the other thing about this lifestyle. You think you figure out a solution and then something new pops up.
100%, 100%. Now we've been getting the goat milk, so I've at least been able to give them some of that.
Nice. So, are you just using the goat milk for drinking it, or do you make soaps or anything out of it?
I've made cheese with it. So I've only started milking pretty consistently, maybe the last month or so, because prior to that, any milk that I was getting was going straight back to the babies. So
Uh-huh.
we've made butter a few times. We've made cheese. I do use it, in my coffee, and I'm not a big milk drinker, but any place I would use milk, I use it. And then I'm excited to try some ice cream this weekend. We're actually going to try to make some goat milk ice cream, so that'll be fun.
Is the goat milk butter, does it taste different than cow's milk butter?
It definitely, I find goat milk actually tastes better. I have Nigerian dwarfs, and I know when I've gotten goat milk at the grocery store, it's been quite goaty and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few reasons to it. One is that Nigerian dwarfs, even though they produce less milk than, a full-sized goat, its butter fat is way higher. So it's a much sweeter milk. It does on day 5, 6, and 7. It can start tasting a bit goaty, but fresh, it's so sweet and it's so creamy, and it's really there's no aftertaste or anything until it's aged a few days.
Okay, I was just wondering because they're different animals, so
They
they
sure
might
are.
taste
Yeah,
different.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So we're at 29 minutes and 6 seconds. I try to keep these 30 minutes, and honestly, I'm sleepy, so I'm gonna cut you loose. I'm so glad you came to talk to me, Sophia. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
for having me. I really appreciate it as well.
Thank you for teaching me some stuff I didn't know.
Well, you have an awesome day, and thank you again for having me. I hope that somebody got some value out of this.
I think they probably will. All right, thank you, Sophia. Have a good night.
You as well.